Goes to everybody. All right. So I know Simon's got a lot on this. I could just see him chomping at the bit to jump on. I've got some stuff on this, but let's hear from you here, Simon, real quick.
Yeah, I mean, these were some of the things that that I was dealing with when I started, and
All right. So, I had a couple of questions real quick, kind of to do with one with following up. I feel like I'm not asking the right questions in like our deep dive, and maybe I'm not like setting the tone with the like screencasts and stuff to letting them know like I guess a good way to put it is I feel like people are like, oh, this is great information. All right, peace. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you like asking for feedback? So how are you getting your yeses to screencast, first of all? Are you cold calling, Facebook group, shouting from the rooftops? What's kind of the strategy that you're using there?
So yeah, I've been building a prospect list and cold calling. And I use like word for word what Josh does in the 2.0 video of just like, hey, is there an email that I can get to send this video to?
Gotcha. Great. So you get the email, you can send the video, and then you follow up. And then are you following with the business owner? Are you getting the gatekeeper? Like what's kind of going on there?
So that kind of ties into my next question is like, I feel like my prospect list is not as like, I guess, centered as it could be. Okay. I think that I'm kind of bringing in these people that aren't ranking, but they're also like too large of companies for it to ever get to the actual owner or decision maker,
Got it. So are there, what type of industry is it?
I was just doing general contracting in Miami. Gotcha. Because there was a large, search volume for it, and it was low KD. So.
And are you doing downhill prospecting? What type of strategy are you using to build your list?
Yeah, it's downhill prospecting. I watched the video that Simon did from OGS, and I was using like Yelp and stuff like that. But then I also had the VA kind of go through and get like a couple hundred of them for the OGS. So I had, some of that. And some of them have worked out, and then others have been a little bit too broad,
Gotcha. So do you feel like maybe like the yeses that you're getting the screencast are maybe like kind of like false yeses? Like maybe, hey, they're just sending it out, but maybe they're not interested. Are you probing a little bit more, or kind of how do you feel about that? Like,
yeah, I kind of feel like maybe I'm not, and I feel like there's a balance. Like I don't want to get too much into it on the cold call, but then I feel like maybe they are just kind of like saying yes and then just being like, okay, whatever, giving me like a general email to send it to.
Gotcha. And then when you follow up, obviously, I mean, hey, it's great. Just make the call, get the rep in, get the video out, put it together. And now when you're following up, what are you saying when you're following up? Are you actually getting in touch with the person who is the decision maker, or the person who watched the screencast, or what's kind of going on there?
Right. So I feel like that's the thing, is that I'm getting caught up with the gatekeeper. And I usually ask like, hey, is there somebody like that I should talk to that maybe has 10 or 15 minutes just to discuss what they saw? And then a lot of the times they're like, oh, well, there is, but they're busy right now. Call tomorrow,
Gotcha. So who are you sending the video to? Do you have a name of a person that you're sending it to?
Oh, sometimes they won't give me it. It'll just be like info at whatever email. And I'll ask if there's a particular name that I should address. And a lot of the times they'll say no.
So who would be answering that email? Who would be actually watching that video? That'd be a question.
Gatekeepers have told me that it goes to everybody.
Goes to everybody. All right. So I know Simon's got a lot on this. I could just see him chomping at the bit to jump on. I've got some stuff on this, but let's hear from you here, Simon, real quick.
Yeah, I mean, these were some of the things that that I was dealing with when I started, and I just learned a few different things to incorporate into my scripts for the calls, the screencast, the email, the follow up. Just to Look, the main thing first, I'd say try another industry without gatekeepers. That's just going to make things so much easier. But then with your process, like, you know, over in the OGS, I know one of my cold call scripts was dropped in there.
Okay.
And like one of the reasons we specifically ask for feedback is to, you know, say to this business owner or whoever it is, you want it to be the business owner, but, you know, can you give me feedback? Because I'm just trying to send these videos out to help small businesses that might be struggling. And I want to know, you know, if you kind of felt that it helped. So it gives you the reason to follow them up, but it also encourages them to watch it, you know, because then they know they've got to give you feedback. So you're getting a little bit more of a, you know, confirmed yes. But you're also employing some empathy there by having them, you know, come onto your side of the table to see it from your position, because you're mentioning the fact that you're trying to help out small businesses. So there's a lot of thought that goes into the fact that, you know, asking for feedback. But when you start to think about it like that, and you work those into your scripts, your percentages will increase. But I would start with finding an industry that doesn't have gatekeepers so often.
Okay.
You might be calling on larger, you know, general contractor companies. So maybe that might be it with, you know, especially if you're calling in an area like Miami, you know, which is a really big area. So maybe take a look at like, you know, Coral, I think it's like Coral Gables and, you know, some of those other areas, or maybe some of the neighborhoods, you know, in Miami, because it's a big area. So you may be running into a lot of larger size companies with the gatekeepers, which, I mean, you know, if you've got a gatekeeper, I mean, it's fine. Like, you know, we talk a lot about gatekeepers on these calls, and last week's call, we talked a lot about it. And a couple of weeks ago, it seems like every week we talk about gatekeepers. Seems like I should just do a video just on gatekeepers. So I can just send it to everybody. But, you know, it's really like you just want to become friends with the gatekeeper, right? And you just want to force empathy into the conversation. And, you know, here's the thing is like, you don't want to get just an info email address. Like, that's a bullshit lead. You know, like nobody's going to watch that. You know, like not everybody checks an info. Like that's just a blow off, right? So, you know, I mean, you could hit her with I would like, hey, you know, so in my experience, when people normally send me the info, like sounds like they just not interested and just kind of want to blow me off, right? So it's like, you know, like, is there, you know, are you guys actually looking, you know, for more business, or, you know, who's the person that's responsible for, you know, getting more business, you know, in the door? It's not normally the gatekeeper. So, you know, but you got to back up a little bit. When you do get a gatekeeper on the phone, it's like, you know, they pick up the phone, they say, you know, Smith's Contracting or whatever, you know, Smith's Contracting, hey, this is Cheryl, can I help you? Right? Like, oh, hey, Cheryl, you know, hey, this is Max, you know, give me a call. Like, hey, do you have 27 seconds, or you have like 8 lines ringing off the hook right now? Right? Okay. And then you're going to ask them, you're going to totally throw them off guard. Then with their, this is Max, I'm calling from, you know, the best SEO company in the world.com, you know, and I want to talk to the person that's in charge of your market. Like that, nobody wants to do that, right? Like, you know, you want to, you know, try to throw them off with a little bit of something that they may not heard, but then force empathy in the conversation, you know, say, and then let them know, like, and she says, yeah, I got 27 seconds, right? And then great, well, like, here's what I do. Who would be the best person for me to send that video to?
Okay.
Right? So don't necessarily ask them for the email, but who would be the best person to send that video to?